Well, we're here in Big Bear, at the Big Bear Lake, and there's a quick view. We're in the parking lot. We're taking a Big Bear Queen tour. It's a paddle wheel boat, like the Disneyland boat, kind of a paddle like a Mark Twain boat. There it is out there behind the black car that's driving towards me. Let me pan my right. I'm not sure which one I'm looking. I think I'm looking north. And there's a bunch of boats here in the marina there for the lake. People own them and stuff. Pan right. And there's our coach. I don't see any fish in the water. It's quite warm. Feels like it's about 76, somewhere in there. And there's our coach right there. That brought us up here. The breeze is blowing. There's some flags way over there. You can see them kind of like right out there. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Big Bear Harbor Marina. More reels coming up. Peace out.
Head out to the lake and make a right turn east, then head on over to Eagle Point. From there, we're going to cross over to the north shoreline, the other side of the lake, and take that all the way down to the Bear Valley Dam. And the smaller tour boat on the lake that Queen was built for Big Bear Lake, so we get up close to everything. Then you're going to take the right into the Bear Valley.
Here we go. We're going to go see the nest of Jackie and Shadow. The Big Bear Lake tour. Real pretty day out here. 75 degrees. Captain's there bringing up the ropes. He's going to be on the wheel there. Right there. Right there. Here we go. This is like the Mark Twain from Disneyland. Gonna go see Jackie and Shadow at Big Bear Lake. Look at the views. The wheel that's propelling us around the lake. Peace out from Big Bear Lake.
Begin by introducing everyone to Big Bear Lake itself. Give you some of the facts and figures of our lake. We do sit at an elevation up here of just below 7,000 feet above sea level, and that's measured at the top of the Bear Valley Dam, making us the highest lake
7,000 feet.
in California.
We're the highest lake in California, 7,000 feet. Should have brought my fishing pole.
7 miles long, east to west, and the widest reservoir for the area of Redlands right up until the late 1970s. The problem we have with this locally during the drought years, they can draw this lake down as much as 20 or 30 feet from the top, sometimes even more than that. And that would make the east end, where we are right now, entirely dry. There's no water here at all. Just once the doesn't that hill. Well, it's recreation.
Very cool. This is neat. Big Bear Lake, 7,000 feet up, highest lake in California. Peace out.
Also in this part of the valley where some early history occurred back in the 1860s. The match took place in Poker Valley, which is located a couple miles from the north of us over this ridgeline off to the right of our boat. And it was up there we had the biggest gold strike in southern California. It is made up of billboard, with the early pioneer in this area. And we were tracking a grizzly bear in the area we are right now, which is live here. Tracking this grizzly bear across his meadow at the time. Valley. The town up there became known as Belleville, and for a brief time it was the biggest town in the San Bernardino Mountains. But by the late 1860s, gold was handed out, and the town of Belleville up there is lost abandoned. And I'd like to get a little visit to Poker Valley on your own sometime in the future. Get a map at our visitor center. The dirt road will lead us there, only take you about 20 minutes to get there. And in cars to make it really easy. And if it remains like it is right now, if you try to take photographs over land as the ground is heated up and active by the sun, this would cause heat waves. You can see what the price of off the ground into the lens of the telescope. telescopes, over 5 feet in diameter and nearly 30 feet long. It does operate every day the sun is shining, staffed by 2 technicians. They're all connected through computers so they can work together. The closest one to us, nearly 3,000 miles away off to the west, on the summit of the big island of Hawaii. And there's another spot. How we got the name. Now, the very earliest history of the valley goes way back to the Serrano tribes. They were the first known Native Americans that inhabited this valley. The word Serrano was actually given to us by the early Spanish settlers, and the word Serrano means people of the pine. And they named this valley Tumbiat, and that's their name for pine place, all the pine trees around their valley. Some artifacts that they think that they come from the Serrano tribes. Some of these.
Here's another quick reel. We're headed up to the nest of Jackie and Shadow Lake. Real beautiful lake. They have a beautiful lake they live on. Here's a quick reel.
Across our lake, over the ridge line, off in the distance, you see the very top of the San Antonio mountain range. You
Wow.
can view down 15 miles away. Once Benjamin Wilson and his men got to the headwaters of the San
We're at the nest of Jackie and Shadow.
They do like to rest on the shoreline here. And most of the winter months when the migration eagles can top over 20 during the winter months. But if you call the eagles to make big bear lakes their home, and if that nest right now, and you see Robbie in the background. Now, Jackie won't be there. I told her that she's in rehabilitation right now. Got a blood transfusion. She's a little sick right now. And hopefully they'll be releasing her in the valley in a few days. Get some big back from that later on. Dad's doing double duty right now. They catch the baby Baldings. They're 3.5 months old now. They've been flying for a couple of weeks. Shadow and Jackie.
We're at the nest of Jackie and Shadow.
They're still hanging close to the nest. They still rely on mom and dad for food. They like to bring back fish to the nest. The favorite menu item is bring those out and catfish. Hard to believe those eagle eggs we had just 3.5 months ago that have a wingspan over 5.5 feet across. This is no drawing. Coming on bald eagle, the wingspan is 7 feet across. But the bald eagles, they don't get that white-headed tail until they turn about 3 to 5 years old. So what we call a juvenile bald eagle are all brown in color. Spot. When Soap was a few years ago, when he was shooting that series of his Yellowstone, which was shot on location up in Montana. And just to the left of Cabin Cross, his old vacation spot, there's a little white cabin on the ridge there with a green lawn in front of it, the white picket fences. This is the first one built over here back in 1938. And in the early days, I was out here all by myself. This one was owned by Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. That's their vacation spot. They're talking the Western Stars in the 1950s and 60s. They liked Big Bear Lake so much, they stayed up here and quite a bit back then before moving down to Apple Valley.
Here's a quick reel. I'm on the Big Bear Lake. Look at these cabins.
Spot. When Soap was a few years ago, when he was shooting that series of his Yellowstone, which was shot on location up in Montana. And just to the left of Cabin Cross, his old vacation spot, there's a little white cabin on the ridge there with a green lawn in front of it, the white picket fences. This is the first one built over here back in 1938. And in the early days, I was out here all by myself. This one was owned by Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. That's their vacation spot. They're talking the Western Stars in the 1950s and 60s. They liked Big Bear Lake so much, they stayed up here and quite a bit back then before moving down to Apple Valley.
Very, very beautiful. I could be filming all day long here, which I'm doing now. Here's another reel.
Shortly after the lake was created, this inlet yields 30 feet from the top, sometimes even more than that. And that would make the east end, where we are right now, entirely dry. There's no water here at all. Just once it's open that hill. Well, it's recreation.
Very cool. This is neat. Big Bear Lake, 7,000 feet up, highest lake in California. Peace out. We're coming out some boaters here on the lake. It is so chill. There we go. Look at there's 2 boaters out there. We're gonna cruise right up to them. Captain put the engines down a little low. Here we go. There they are.
Hey, we're close to the dam here. It's a popular picnic spot to drop an anchor, enjoy the afternoon down here. And also a popular picnic spot on the shoreline here. To look off to the right, all the people here. This is all public access being on the North Shoreline.
There's a guy waving at you.
Yeah, he is. Got a wave.
From the shoreline here, just use a turnout. Come down to use your picnic basket and fishing rod and try your luck with a rainbow trout. Or just enjoy an afternoon on the shoreline of Big Bear Lake. And as you make the turn, off to the right of us is the Bear Valley Dam. There's actually 2 dams down here. The original one they created a lake back in 1884. That one is now underwater. Its location just a couple hundred feet upstream of what we do see today. The first dam that created our lake back in 1884 was completely hand-built, made out of large granite blocks carved from the hillsides here. And all this work was done by 11 stonemasons. It took about 2 years to finish that first granite arch dam, and it worked just fine. The problem was it just didn't hold nearly enough water for the irrigation demands of redlands. So the orange growers got together and finished this multi-large concrete dam we see today. Pretty old itself, finished back in the summer of 1912, raising the original lake level well over 20 feet. And it also tripled the volume of the lake to its current size. And this is our deepest spot where we're full to the top of the dam, just over 82 feet deep. But we're going to cross over here to the south shoreline as we head back. We're going to be looking at more of these cabins built underneath that lease program with the Forest Service. The cabin coming up here with a green roof on it was built by one of our early dam keepers, Bill Knickerbocker, back in 1915, used as his personal residence. And right behind that cabin, you can see a big boulder up there just hanging off the edge. People have asked who put it up there. But that is a natural rock formation. As precarious as it looks, we've named it Teetering Rock, but it hasn't teetered at all through the years. Been up there forever, including through some pretty big earthquakes, so we think Teetering Rock is staying put. And Kid Cove, this is one of our popular swimming holes. We like on the weekend, lots of divers will got some boulders here. And in the middle of Kid Cove, we're now approaching Garston's Island. Because of the architecture of these buildings, some people have referred to this as China Island, but the original name of Garston Island dates back to Herbert Garston. He was the first president of the Bear Valley Land and Water Company. They were the creators and the original owners of this lake for the irrigation water for the Redlands area. A prominent citizen in that town in the early 1900s and a big orange grower. With all the money he was making off his orange groves, did quite a bit of traveling around the world with his wife. In all the travels around the world, his wife fell in love with the architecture of the Far East, especially Japan. So as a gift for his wife on their 25th wedding anniversary, he had this summer vacation cottage built for her in the year 1912, and he copied the design she liked so much. He had this built the same year they finished the second higher dam we just saw, and he knew when the lake filled up, this spot would become an island, thought it'd make a unique vacation spot. Each building you're looking at serves as a room. This is the living room in the front with a big window. Right behind that's a little den. Across the back of the bedrooms, there's 4 of them, and the 2 buildings off to the left are the kitchen and dining room, and they're all connected by these bridges and covered walkways. Being built in 1912 makes it the first vacation spot on the lake and has been designated as a California historical landmark. Being an island, it is accessible only by boat, unlike all of the other cabins down here. That is used during the summer months only. The Garces haven't had the island since the 1950s, but it did keep their name. A new owner recently acquired the island and just finished a major restoration project to restore it to its original condition and colors. as it was built back in the summer of 1912.
Long time ago.
And one more cabin I wanted to point out too, since Long Brown went up on the boulders flying the U.S. flag, is the Ridgeway cabin. And this one has been in the same family since it was built in 1914. The unique feature about this cabin is one of the conditions on the land leases. When you build your place, you cannot put the spot for a building site. You couldn't cut down the trees or move any of the rocks. You had to build along the land as it was. But right where they wanted to put their place for the best views was a great big boulder. And not being allowed to move that by the Forest Service, they just built around it, putting the bedrooms on the right side, leaving your kitchen off to the left. And smack dab in the center of the cabin, you can see they left that huge boulder right where it was.
Spectacular
And they got
views.
their
Look at
views. The doors are open, the flag is flying, and the Ridgeway family's up again for another summer season. And we're going to be looking at more of these cabins, all dating back over 100 years, as we continue on in Keystone Point at Homestead.
I'm gonna. It's got a totem pole right there in front of the house. That looks cool. I tried pointing at it. I'm like, you're gonna block it. The totem pole. Oh wow, that's cool looking.
Our left flag, Captain Paul's on board. For position, Captain Paul! Forest Service here on this side. So this stretch of our lake will remain open and undeveloped for public lake access, shoreline fishing, and lakeside picnicking. That's a picnic here right now. Also in this part of the valley where some early history occurred back in the 1860s. The match took place in Poker Valley, which is located a couple miles from the north of us over this ridge line off to the right of our boat. And it was up there we have the biggest gold strike in Southern California. It is named after Bill Holcomb, who was an early pioneer in this area. And we were tracking a grizzly bear in the area we are right now before the sleeper is here. Tracking this grizzly bear across his meadow at this time.
Here's a quick reel. I'm on the Big Bear Lake. Look at these cabins. Storm is coming in. Look at these clouds. They just got here. Wow. The pirate flag at one of the houses blowing full staff. The pirate flag. I'm gonna zoom over it. Flying full staff. Here it goes. It's coming up by the yellow. There it is. The pirate flag. One more zoom. There it is. Real windy. Got a storm coming in.
And as the news clear out of Boulder, they were going around Inspiration Point, and it was on the end of this point of Lake on resorts date back to the 1920s. For years, it was known as the White Horizons Resort, and you could rent little vacation cabins with a shoreline there for the week of up for the whole summer. And to service the patrons of the White Horizons Resort, they had a lakefront restaurant and nightclub out here. They called it the Seabrook Room for the reason, well, to make the building very visible for photos and business, marketing gimmicks, and community outside the building, black and white stripes you can see a mile away. The vacation cabins have long since gone from the end of the point here. What's left of the original Seabrook Room still stands in old brown lakefront structure. The top part with the big windows is an addition, but the lower half, that's with the chimney on it, was originally built back in 1924 when it opened up as the Seabrook Room. And that was one of our popular night spots in the valley from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. It also served as one of our local speakeasies and gambling houses during the Prohibition era. It was left abandoned for years once the resort closed down, and some time ago they made that big addition on top of a private lakefront house out of it. And they left aside the big windows, you see the lights on, and there's nobody home. It came to the end of the year, it's going to run down. The Hawkers on fire, it's up once again. The stripes are long since gone, but we still refer to it locally as the old Seabrook Room. Crossing about no much now of north of stage, you may be asking yourself what's north of stage doing on the south shoreline. Louisville area is actually named after Judge North. He was a landowner about in the early years and owned this whole point, which is developed back right with the 1920s. This was the first big lakefront development we had. And right now we're coming up to the first house built out here, along with the 1920 lawn in front of it, flying the U.S. flag. This one was built back in 1917 on its original 2.5-acre lakefront parcel. Did a renovation on this and they converted the old boathouse into a little guest club going down there on Lake's Edge. And that's one of our nicest and oldest lakefront homes. Even if you bought that lakefront lot from Judge North back in 1917, it had a price tag of $1,500. Well, I checked it out. If you made $1,500 in a year back then, that was a year's wages. You could raise a family on considered it a steal living. So a big chunk of money back then. Put together a search party that found the man was credited for saving his life. So to honor his heroic efforts, the water company built the whole valley back then, named this prominent point on the lake after him. Also at the very top of this point that was the original campsite of Benjamin Wilson and his men. When they came here for that first time in the summer of 1845, gave the valley its name. Being on the tip of this ridge back then gave his men a great view of the valley floor in both directions before the lake was here. And that's when they saw all those grizzly bear out here over 150 years ago. was built back in 1947 by Mel Blanc. And if you don't know the name, I'm sure everyone's heard the voice of Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Tweety Bird, Yosemite Sam, the Looney Tunes, the ones I grew up with and still love them today. Well, Noel Blanc is the son of Mel Blanc, carrying on the tradition of his dad, does all the voices, including the famous ones of Bugs Bunny and Porky Pig. And he's a full-time resident, has a cabin in the family for over 81 years now. And this is the little brown cabin with a covered porch. And I think we're lucky today, folks, because sitting out on the front porch there, waiting to give us a little hello, is Noel Blanc. Hello, Noel.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, Bugs Bunny.
Hey! He said, "What's up, daughter?" From his.
There he is, right there.
On the porch.
Right there. That's Bug Bunny, the voice of Porky Pig, talking with the blowhorn up on the balcony. That's his house. He's 81 years old.
Thank you, Noel. Very well. Never lucked out. No, full-time resident of Big Bear. Now, it can hear all since it was said through the bullhorn. Yeah, Dad bought that lot today. World War II came to close for $600. And built the cabin the following year, 1946. Now, the year after that, my grandfather, the one stuck in the front of the picture here, he started a summer camp, but now Papoose Bay Estates, where we saw those three-story homes on like my old stomping grounds in Papoose Bay. And my grandfather and his dad became friends, and whenever we had a summer camp and the kids at our lodge, his dad would come down a little Chris Craft mahogany runabout called Tweety Bird, and his dad would for Netflix, you know, we're really funny when you come with that salary, our biggest return home.
That home right there is the Netflix CEO's house, like vice president. That one right in front of the camera. Right there. Got my camera right on it. Wait, right there. Netflix CEO, vice president. Here's some more boats coming up. Here's some more boats. I'm going to pan the left. What a perfect little lake. Oh, look at him. Give him a high five. A wave to them, man. There they are. I'm still waiting. They're waving back. Like that.
Well, right now we're crossing by our biggest resort on the waters of Big Bear Lake, Augustina Lodge. This is actually a timeshare resort, and the units here range anywhere from 1 to 3.
They're waving back.
Size.
Cool. Cool vibes.
Summertime, they're open marine facility here for boat rentals and dock fishing. It's also altogether their docks are the biggest fish we've caught out of our lake. I told you earlier about that 14-pound rainbow trout. That was the biggest trout, and those are the main fish we have here, but we also have bluegill, small and largemouth bass, and channel catfish. They're bottom feeders, so it's pretty big. And that record catfish was like we caught off the dock here 11 years ago. Typical scale over 39 pounds, over 3.5 feet long. So far, that is the biggest fish available at this lake. Right to the top of the mountain. And once you get in there, great views of our valley, the lake, and off to the south. Good view of the San Bernardino mountain range that was up earlier. Get the sky chair ride, and then our highway here. Right to the top of the mountain. And once you get in there, great views of our valley, the lake, and off to the south. Good view of the San Bernardino mountain range that was up earlier. Get the sky chair ride, and then our highway here. Summertime, they're open marine facility here for boat rentals and dock fishing. It's also altogether their docks are the biggest fish we've caught out of our lake. I told you earlier about that 14-pound rainbow trout. That was the biggest trout, and those are the main fish we have here, but we also have bluegill, small and largemouth bass, and channel catfish. They're bottom feeders, so it's pretty big. And that record catfish was like we caught off the dock here 11 years ago. Typical scale over 39 pounds, over 3.5 feet long. So far, that is the biggest fish available at this.
Here's a quick reel of our vessel that we were on. The captain right there talking to one of our passengers. He's got the blue polo shirt. And then the flag flying. Very fun. Big Bear Lake tour. Peace out. We're headed to the village. Thanks for watching.